What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals. And yes, we are in the heart of the offseason, ladies and gentlemen, but that does not stop us from continuing to grind and continuing to try to make more content for you guys. So definitely do me a huge favor, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time here, subscribe it up. We're on the road to 17K. Cannot do it without you guys. It's absolutely for free. Just go ahead and hit that red button. Don't forget to smack that like button, ladies and gentlemen. But today, we're going to be diving into who the Arizona Cardinals should let walk and who the Arizona Cardinals should potentially decide to retain. Now, please keep in mind, this is all based on my opinion. I have done these before coming into the next years, right? But a lot of times I don't get it right. But these are the guys that I would love to bring in an Arizona Cardinal uniform to play either on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball here in 2025. So let me give a huge shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. The guy that's powering the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. That's going to be none other than BetUS. If you're looking for a brand new sports book, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following two. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. But ladies and gentlemen, let's go and get started here. Let's talk about who the Arizona Cardinals should retain. Now, first things first, I know there's some people that know this already in terms of how much money we have, but for the people out there that do not know how much money the Arizona Cardinals are going to have in the 2025 offseason, let's go ahead and cover that right now. Now, at one point, we were slated to have somewhere upwards of about $98 to $100 million. Now, that number has decreased because obviously the extensions of Budda Baker as well as James Conner, and if what I hope the Cardinals do this offseason, extend Trey McBride, then this number will definitely go down even more. But right now, we are slated to have anywhere upwards of about $81-82 million in cap heading into the 2025 offseason. And right now, we are amongst the top four. We're actually number 4 in terms of the highest cap space heading into this year's offseason. So super excited to see what the Arizona Cardinals are going to be able to do with this amount of money. Now, like I said before, if they decide to extend Trey McBride, which I feel like it's the smart thing to do, that number is going to definitely go down. And he's going to get paid pretty handsomely because, let's be honest, this guy is probably arguably the best, if not top 3 tight end in the NFL right now. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do for the remaining years as an Arizona Cardinal. But let's talk about who the Cardinals should allow to walk and who the Arizona Cardinals should decide to bring back. Now, another thing that's going to, I'm not going to say hurt, but prevent the idea that the Cardinals are not going to have $82 million is we got a lot of free agents right now. Now, they're pending free agents, right? Are the Cardinals going to bring them back? Or are they not going to bring them back? That's going to be the big question that we're going to have to hopefully decipher, and you guys hopefully get involved here in the chat as well. But this is going to be the list in terms of all the players the Cardinals have to make a decision on, right? And we got like 15 people up in this list, man. That's a lot. So we're not going to really be talking about players like, Angelo Blackson, Tristan Colon. So there's some guys on here that we're probably going to, just bypass, and the Cardinals decide to bring them back, and that's completely fine. But you also got to take a look at here. Like, a lot of these guys are not going to be very expensive when it comes down to guarantees. We're probably going to be talking about somewhere upwards of like 1 million or maybe even in the 100,000s, right? That kind of range. So it's not going to really break the bank that much for the Cardinals. But the main guys I really want to focus on is probably like the first 10 or 12, right? Do we allow to walk, or would I love to bring them back, right? So let's talk about Kazir White here real quick. Like, right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Now, I'm not sure if you guys saw my most recent video, or at least a video I posted less than 5 days ago on this channel. Kazir White ended up taking to social media and basically saying, thank you to Arizona. Now, we don't 100% know what that means. We know athletes do this a lot with, just kind of the uncertainty of the offseason, maybe who already had prior negotiations with this Cardinals organization, and maybe they just kind of didn't see eye to eye. This is the prime time that Kazir White's going to probably try to get the bag, right? Because when we originally signed him, it was actually a very, very fair deal for the Cardinals, right? In terms of what physicality and what type of player and what leadership he was in the locker room, it was actually a pretty fair deal for the Cardinals to get Kazir White in that really, really good, market price. Now he's probably going to want to try to get as much money as we possibly can. Now, is the Cardinals going to be willing to pay him that? That's the big question out there, right? Now, here's the question. Do I want to see Kazir White back? I mean, I do. I like what he brings to the Cardinals, but at the price that he's probably going to want to get, maybe not at that price. And that, like, when I look at his original contract, that's kind of when I see him like, okay, I like that, but that's not fair to him as a player. I do think that he deserves. Now, I'm not talking about like over market. No, I mean, he deserves to get paid market. He did a really good job with the Cardinals, right? I know he struggled here and there when it comes down to coverage, but in terms of physicality, what he brought in the middle of the defense, his leadership in the locker room, very well liked in the locker room. I think he brought a very, very well-rounded player for the minimal amount of money that we brought him in for. So I would love to bring him back. I really would, but obviously it depends on the price. If he's going to get paid somewhere else, then more power to you. Collect your bag, and we'll kind of go from there. So with Kazir, I want to bring him back, but it's at the right price, and it almost kind of feels like he's not going to come back to the Cardinals. So what it kind of feels like right now. Can I be surprised? Absolutely. So kind of off and on with him. I would love to, but at the right price. Let's talk about Will Hernandez. Now, Will Hernandez is very interesting. Right now, I believe he's 30 years old, or at least he's going to be 30 years old when it comes down to starting the 2025 season. I do like Will Hernandez. When we originally signed him for that 1 year deal and then we got him on an extension, I like what we have in that right guard position with Will Hernandez. The problem is that we've already seen 3 years with him, and 2 of those 3 years have there's injuries, right? I believe in 2022 he had a pectoral injury, and then obviously this last one where he landed himself on the IR. So there seems to be a level of concern where if the Cardinals do decide to bring him back, it's also going to be one of those things where it's got to be at the right price, right? Now, his guaranteed salary before was like $4.5 million. And even if you take a look at Kazir White's contract, it was $6 million. So it wasn't very expensive, right? Now, Will Hernandez, does he have a market out there? I don't know if he has a market per se, but if he wants to stay here, I think the Cardinals should be able to accommodate that, maybe on a 1 year deal. I'm more than happy to see something like that. Now, if you really look at it, the Arizona Cardinals depth chart right now in terms of like who can potentially be the future for that specific right guard position, we don't really have an answer, right? You got guys like Tristan Colon, which, he's done decent. And I know Isaiah Adams has stepped into a role with either, stepping into where there was kind of injuries here and there. The right guard position right now seems to be kind of in flux, right? Because Isaiah Adams, at least per this depth chart, he's listed as a left guard, right? And then Evan Brown, he was a 1 year rental, right? So maybe Isaiah Adams is going to be that guard for us here on the left side. Maybe that's going to be what they're going to roll with. But there's not really an answer at right guard. So would I like to bring Will Hernandez back? Yeah, I would on a 1 year deal, and maybe potentially drafting his successors, or drafting somebody that we're going to be able to mold to have him ready for when his turn comes up. So those two players, both of them, I'm kind of on the teeter-totter at the right price. I would love to bring them back. Their veteranness and what they brought to the Cardinals organization, I really like. Matt Prater, I think it's a time to let him walk. I know it, man. He's a Hall of Fame type of player. He really is. And he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. One of the best kickers that's ever done it here in the NFL. But with what we got in Chad Ryland, I think I've seen enough to say this is going to be our kicker, right? And you also got to think about it, man. Matt Prater is 40, 41 years old. It's probably time for him to hang it up and allow somebody else to eat, right? I like Chad Ryland, so I would let Matt Prater walk, which it hurts me to say, but I would let him walk. Dennis Gardeck, man, the barbarian. Oh, this one hurts too. So right now, Dennis Gardeck is 31 years old, right? Guaranteed salary of 3.2. Like, if you look at the trend, none of these guaranteed salaries, these aren't big names out there in terms of like, they're not superstars, right? Like when we talked 2 years ago, we were talking about Zach Allen or Byron Murphy Jr. Like these aren't the names out there. They're going to be getting these big contracts. So the Cardinals might be able to still sign some of these guys back. But talking about Dennis Gardeck, I love Dennis Gardeck. I really do. It's just injuries have plagued him, right? But he's a special teamer, turn edge, and he's had some flashes here and there with the Cardinals in terms of like had success, right? But the biggest problem is that he's not able to stay healthy, right? So we've seen this year coming into 2024, it seemed like the plan was it was going to be Dennis Gardeck and BJ Ojolari, right? And then unfortunately, BJ Ojolari ended up getting hurt. And then Dennis Gardeck started the season, but he ended up getting hurt. So it's kind of seeming one of those things where, I don't know, I feel like I'm ready to start seeing new people get more opportunity, right? Because I feel like if Dennis Gardeck does sign with the Cardinals, they're going to try to put him in that role because, like, I mean, he's done good, right? He's done good. So I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things, and it hurts me to say, but maybe allow him to walk. But like even looking at his guarantee, it's like 3 million. That's not a lot of money, right? So the Cardinals can also do away with another 1 year deal. Like I'm okay with it, but I'm leaning more towards walk than I am re-sign. If I can be 110% honest with you, right? So there's that. Now let's move on over to Kelvin Beachum. Now, this is such a fascinating thing. A lot of the fan base did not like Kelvin Beachum because of what he said about Kyler Murray and that whole conversation that ended up happening. And he didn't really even say anything bad about Kyler. It's just, you know how it is, man. We got a lot of Kyler Murray fans that get very, very protective when it comes down to their quarterback. But overall, when Kelvin Beachum has slated in the role of that right tackle whenever he needed to, man, he played pretty darn good. Jonah Williams was brought in here to be that right tackle for the Cardinals, and Kelvin Beachum's look way better. You know what? Kelvin Beachum's look way better. Like Jonah Williams was like one of the big splash plays, right? Like one of the big splash plays for the Cardinals in terms of free agency. Now it didn't really work because injuries really plagued him a lot, and it seems like he struggled a lot as well. So right now, Kelvin Beachum, would I like to see him back? I would. I really do. I like his veteranness. I like what he does. I think he's a solid piece for the Cardinals. So I would love to bring him back. I really would. On a 1 year deal, heck yeah. I mean, granted, he's probably going to be 37 at that time. But if he could still do it, man, bring him on, man. And then maybe we can draft somebody in the right tackle, right? And maybe have that future going, right? Or I know we got a lot of young talent as well. Like you also got to keep in mind that the Cardinals drafted, let's take a look, Christian Jones. Maybe he could be the guy for the Cardinals on the right side, right? You never know. So that could be a real world that we're living in. So bring Kelvin Beachum, have him start the season, and if Christian Jones you feel like is ready to go, then let's rock and roll. But you also got to think about Jonah Williams getting healthier as well. So I think technically we have him on 1 more year under contract. So there's that. So I would like Kelvin Beachum on a 1 year. Just I like what he brings to the Cardinals. Evan Brown, let him walk. He's listed as a center, but he played guard for us a lot. And I think it's time to let him walk. I thank you for what you've done. It's time. Time to let him walk. Pascal, man, yeah. I don't know how many games I've watched this year. Well, actually, I've watched all the games, but ever since Pascal's been on this roster, and it's been 2 years now, I believe. There's no impact, man. There really is no impact on Pascal. Allow somebody else to get the opportunity here. I would love to see Xavier Weaver get that opportunity. And he kind of only really gets opportunities when somebody gets hurt, right? So there's that. So it's time to allow Pascal to walk. Zay Jones. Zay Jones only really showed up in the last like game or two. And maybe that's even just the last game. He was unfortunately suspended for the first 5 games of the season. And just being the fact that the Cardinals offense has been very, very wishy-washy all year, I don't really 100% blame Zay Jones on it, especially the passing game. But he's intriguing to potentially bring back, but he's also getting up there in age, right? He's 30 years old right now. The guaranteed salary is not very much. So if the Cardinals did decide to bring him back as a veteran, somebody to keep him maybe as the fourth or the fifth string, I'm not mad at that at all, but I don't think it's a dire need to bring back Zay Jones. But I do want to say one thing right now, right? I did come into 2024 saying, oh, I am 100% confident. Well, maybe not 100, but I'm like, Kyler's got weapons, right? On the wide receiving core, we got weapons, right? I think that's I'm retracting that take. I'm retracting that take because I feel like in a world where the Cardinals can upgrade somewhere that nobody really much is talking because the defense really rears their ugly head, especially that defensive line. I feel like wide receiver can be upgraded. Absolutely. Whether it's T. Higgins in free agency or whether it's maybe drafting somebody in the first or second round, I feel like the Cardinals can upgrade that position, especially getting somebody like a speedy guy that causes separation, slot guy, something like that, maybe to be the yin to the Marvin Harrison Jr.'s yang, right? Somebody different that we can kind of bring into this offense. So maybe Zay Jones ain't that answer. Right now, I would say let him walk, but I hope there is some sort of, plan there, right? I guess the best way to describe it. So there's that. Tristan Colon. It's kind of like here and there. I can kind of really do without me. He's played guard for us, especially when Hernandez went down. I like the depth, so I wouldn't mind bringing him back. And if you look at this money, man, guaranteed salary is really nothing. So if they do bring him back, I'm not mad at it. Tonga, like I said, same thing with Cologne, same situation. If they bring him back, I'm cool with it. But like I said, it's kind of like really not much kind of coming on, right? Aaron Brewer, bring him. I mean, he's 35 right now. Unless they're willing to roll with Shimko, which I believe that's the guy they ended up getting undrafted along with Xavier Weaver, if I can remember correctly. Unless they're just kind of okay, let's move on this guy, then I'm cool with it. Long snapper is one of those things where it's like it's it is what it is. If they bring Aaron Brewer back too, like it's cool too. Like I said, it's not one of those things that I'm gonna lose sleep over. LJ Collier did pretty decent, especially for what he was getting paid. Do I want to bring him back? Depth rise, right? And especially at this price, look at this guaranteed salary is nothing. So if you get him as a something along those lines, or maybe a little bit more, because obviously market kind of increases the year goes on. So I'm cool with bringing him back, but unfortunately he got some a couple injuries under his belt as well. Michael Pilardi, I like Gillikin, so maybe Pilardi just doesn't cut it. Kreis Barnes, I like the depth, I really do. There's only two more people I want to talk about. We're almost done. Browning. Browning's been pretty solid, right? Now, he's not the big splash move that the Cardinals fans expected. We were all hoping and expecting for Azeez Ojulari to make the jump from the Giants to the Cardinals. He is slated to be a free agent, so maybe the Cardinals can take a crack at bringing in Azeez Ojulari and reunite the Ojulari brothers. I feel like that would be pretty cool. Baron Browning, he's a good rotational piece. Now, I'm very curious, is the Arizona Cardinals defense a rotational defense on the D line because they don't really have that X factor, right? Maybe they don't because they don't have that closer on the outside. That's possible, right? It's possible. We haven't really seen a defense, especially a defensive line that has that big closer slash X factor out there. Now, if we get one, we're going to get that answer, right? But I like Baron Browning as a rotational piece. So definitely bring him back if it's a really, really good deal. And like I said, look at the guaranteed salary. Even if it's a little bit more than that, I'm completely cool with, adding him on the 53 and have him as a rotational piece, right? There's that. All right, last guy I want to talk about. And of course, there's a lot of other guys here that you can, kind of make your own decisions if you want to or not. But the last guy I want to talk about is Greg Dortch. This one right here is this one's near and dear to my heart. I ain't gonna lie to you. This one's near and dear to my heart. I feel like with Greg Dortch, it's one of those situations where I love Greg Dortch. I really do. I think that opportunity in this offense and something similar to Zay Jones, right? Where it's like it's not his fault that this offensive passing game was very, very allergic to throwing the ball deep, right? But Greg Dortch went off in the last game. But like did he go off because the defense of the 49ers is meh, right? Or were they playing soft because it was the last year? We don't know. I mean, they had some starters here and there, but we saw potential of what Greg Dortch can be, right? 2 touchdowns in this last game, and overall he finished off the season with 37 receptions, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, and averaged about 9.2 yards a catch. So I like Greg Dortch, but it might be time to see what else is out there. Now, if they do bring back Greg Dortch, I'm cool with it. I am 110% cool with it, right? Especially at the price that they had him for originally. I think it was like a 1 year, $1.1 million contract. It was nothing, right? So the Cardinals do decide to bring him back, and obviously Pascal goes and Zay Jones goes. I'm cool with it, but I would like to see an upgrade in that wide receiving position, right? Now, I know there's a big kind of a name out there with T. Higgins potentially hitting the market. I know there's some rumors out there saying that the Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase obviously wants him back. So is that realistic, right? That's the big question. Or do the Cardinals actually go after a wide receiver in the first round, right? Or maybe in the second round. Maybe the Cardinals do like somebody in the second round that they could potentially bring in, right? A couple guys that I really, really like in this draft, but unfortunately is in the first round, which 85%, 90% right now, I'm thinking defense, specifically that defensive line. But there's 2 guys I really, really like. 2 guys I really like. Emeka Buka out of Ohio State, and then also Luther Burton, which is a great yak player, right? And that's kind of something that we're missing right now within this Arizona Cardinal offense. So I'm cool with Greg Dortch coming back as long as Zay Jones and Pascal are gone, but we're starting to kind of bring in more people in the wide receiving core, kind of giving it a facelift. I do think that the Cardinals can benefit from getting another wide receiver this offseason, whether it's through the draft or through free agency. I'm more than cool and happy with it, honestly. So that's kind of where I stand right now with the whole let walk or who stays and who walks for the Arizona Cardinals. It's a tough topic to have because obviously this decision changes everybody's livelihoods, right? When it comes down to all these players that are on these 1-year deals. Lives get uprooted, move to another city that, that requires the services, but it's one of those things that needs to happen. You need to acknowledge what can happen and what can't happen, right? So we don't have those big names hitting free agency this year, but there's still really, really crucial names that the Cardinals can decide to bring back either for a 1-year deal or as a bridge guy, right? In order for you to develop that next guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, what would you do if you were the Arizona Cardinals? Who would you allow to stay or allow to walk? Let me know in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen. Another huge shout out here to BetUS, which is powering the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. Appreciate you, everybody, for doing what you guys do. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.